This is a short video to introduce operators to the KCS third sub. Even if you've operated on the KCS third sub before, pay attention to the very first part of this orientation on how to properly use the wireless throttles. It might have changed since you were here last. Unless you're working a yard job, chances are you'll be using a UT4D simple duplex wireless throttle like this one here. Because these throttles are duplex radio, they don't need to be plugged in order to acquire or release locomotives. In fact, plugging them in can cause some problems, so we ask that you please not plug these duplex throttles into any throttle jacks at any time during an operating session. If you lose control of your train, first check that the red light on the throttle isn't flashing. If it is, press the select button at the bottom left and see if you can reacquire it that way. If the light starts to flash green, you've got it. If that fails, just take the battery out and put it back in. That'll basically reboot your throttle and you should be back in control. If this happens frequently, it's time for a new battery. If you do need a new battery, just go into the shop and get one off of the charger. Please don't put the used battery back in the charger or somebody else might come along and think it's a fresh battery. When replacing batteries, pay attention to the polarity. Notice that the batteries and the throttles have colored markings, red for positive, black for negative. Here are some functions you can use on the throttles. All lead locomotives on the KCS are sound equipped, so if the sound is off, press F8 by pressing the shift button on the bottom left first, holding it down, and then pressing the F2, F8 button. If your locomotive headlight isn't on, first make sure it's set to move in the direction the headlight is shining. Next, press function F0 to turn on or off the headlight. F2 blows the horn as long as you hold it down, and F3 will blow a shorter blast. F1 is your bell, and when heading down grade, F4 activates the dynamic brake sound. At the beginning of an operating session, you'll receive a crew card like the one shown here. The card will tell you where to go find your train. Head over to that location and you'll find your train, a train card, and a throttle with your train already acquired. The train card gives you your train number, lead locomotive number, the consist address to dial up on your throttle, and a basic overview of your run. First, contact the dispatcher on the radio, provide your train number and location, and request permission to depart.
Dispatcher, go ahead. Alright, come on down the north end, Chevy signal to depart there, 82.
Because this is your first train, notice that the consist address is already dialed in for you. Note too, the blinking green light, indicating that you have good control of your train. Press F2 to blow the horn and F1 to ring the bell and you're on your way. Note your train knocking down the signal the dispatcher just gave you. This is normal. You don't need to stop. We catch up with number 92 as it nears the end of its run in Watts, Oklahoma. Third sub rules require all northbound trains to pull completely past the switch and signals at Watts and then stop to change crews. Once you've stopped your train, dial up 00 on your throttle to release it. That's all you need to do. No need to plug in or press dispatch. Notice the throttle light flashes red. That means it's not currently controlling any train. Next, contact the dispatcher to let him know that the train has been released.
Dispatch number 4.
Go ahead, number 4.
Yeah, we're off the train here at Watts. It's all yours. They got a new crew on it.
Roger, number 4 is ready and blind out of Watts. Appreciate it.
Notice your train is now continuing on its trip north. This is the second sub crew, actually the computer, taking over the run. It will park in the staging yard. Hang your last train card on the hook under completed and pull the next card under southbound trains to be run. Dial up the consist number, press select to acquire your train, contact the dispatcher, then watch for your signal to clear. There's a sign at every town letting you know where you are, which way is north, and which way is south. The KCS is a north-south railroad. When you're looking at the tracks, you're looking east, so north is always to your left and south is to your right. Except on branch lines, the KCS is a CTC, signaled railroad. We felt accurately modeling the signaling system was an important part of capturing the feel of the railroad. However, if signaling isn't your thing, you can get by using this simple rule. If it's not all red, it's not red at all. In other words, if any of the signal heads are a color other than solid red, you may proceed. Even a flashing red doesn't mean stop. It means proceed at restricted speed. This, however, does mean stop. Both signal heads red, or the only signal head solid red, means an absolute stop. Some of the signals are nearly impossible to see, though. Don't crane your neck trying to look at them. Instead, just use the repeater signals mounted on the fascia, as in this example, at North Marble City. There are repeater signals on the fascia at both ends of Marble City and at the mop interlocking on the north end of Salisaw. Before you can operate any switches out on the main line, you need to obtain dispatcher authority. The red locked button means you can't operate the switch. You're going to need to contact the dispatcher and ask for track and time authority and local of switches in order to get control.
Westfield Dodger dispatch.
Go ahead, over.
Westfield Dodger requesting traffic time on the south end of Noble City.
Do you need out in the main or just the siding there, Westville?
Just the siding, sir.
All right, tracking time red, Marble City for Westville Dodger.
Westfield Dodger tracking time southbound.
Now you see the green unlocked light is lit, indicating you have full control of the dual control switches as seen here. If you are running a road train by yourself or are the conductor on a road train, you'll need a radio.
Grab a radio, push the on button, makes that sound, volume, the number is the volume, push to talk, testing 1 2, don't push this, and don't push this. Plugging in the headset. Get a headset. Find the plug. Plug it in. And there's your headset ready to go. Headset can be worn on either side of the head.
All switch jobs, including the 2 SuperDogs, use printed switch lists, which you'll find hanging on small clipboards where the jobs originate. The first page shows the initial consist or makeup of your train, and how it is supposed to be blocked. Please note that these print on both sides of the page, and so you may need to flip the switch list over and over again to see all of the pickups and setouts, which your job is expected to do. Take a look at the crew card you received at the start of the session, grab a radio if needed, and head to your starting point to grab your throttle, train card, and if needed, a switch list. Most of all, have fun!